from a young age, like I love reading the Bible. Sometimes I would just have these thoughts. I'm driving to work and I'm like, how do I know that this is the truth? How do I know this is the only true religion? I just started questioning everything. And like, why am I a witness? Is not even helping anything. Like, yeah, I was just in a bad place, physically and mentally out.
PIMO,
Yep.
P-I-M-O.
I'm just like nauseated, literally, because this organization that I devoted like most of my life to, I call it a cult. Like, that's just how I feel.
This is Seeds of Awakening, your home for religious and higher frequency conversations. I'm your host of my channel. Today we're going into the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, specifically, what does it mean to be P-mode? I'm going to bring in a guest who has a lifelong experience with that topic. As a matter of fact, he started questioning the organization when he was like 18 years old. But first, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the thumbs up, do all the things to help others find this great content. All right, so what does it mean to be P-mode? And what happens when you question the organization all your life, only become a ministerial servant, and then walk away after years and years and years and years in this organization? All right, so Mitch Wright is the person I'm talking about. Let's bring him in right now and learn his story. All right, so Mitch Wright now joins us. Thanks so much, Mitch, for taking some time to talk to us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, so this is a question I start off with all my guests is where you're from and how are you raised?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, raised in a very strict religion, uh, but just typical middle class, loving family. Older sister, younger brother, and yeah, just came up in the middle child syndrome.
Yeah, I'm always the middle child. I'm the oldest, so I definitely know the
Okay.
middle children have it kind of tough sometimes. So explain why you say you were raised in a strict religious environment. What was going on with that?
I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and so they have a very strict conduct and code of morals that they go by, and yeah, it's very rigid. If you're not familiar with it, it's just certain things that
Oh,
they
I was I was
believe.
I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so I know about it.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, yeah. So it's that lifestyle plus add to that. My father was an elder,
Mm-hmm.
so I always had to be a certain way because you have to like set the example
The example, yeah.
of being an elder's child, and that's hard. Like especially when you're a teenager and you're trying to find, you're discovering yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I would assume that you were kind of into the religion, or did you take it seriously as you were growing up, or was it kind of like you had no choice?
I took it seriously, and like I was talking to someone earlier this week. It's like from a young age, like I love reading the Bible, and I love like the things in it that was coming from God that could make us a better person.
Mm-hmm.
From a young age, though, I didn't like when I felt like it was something that man was saying, or like they're making a rule or a guideline away from the Bible. So I always had that inner struggle. But yeah, I loved like the structure, learning from the Bible, and I was like, all in from a very young age.
Was it a certain doctrine or certain rule change that made you feel like you were kind of making it up?
Certain things about because born in Chicago. When I was 13, we moved to Houston. Uh, when I was 18, we moved to Atlanta, and so in each place, you have the core values of being a Jehovah's Witness, but then it's like in each place, you could just tell when certain bodies of elders have certain viewpoints on things, such as like dressing and grooming. We
Mm-hmm. Having a
moved from
beard.
Chicago. Yeah, we moved from Chicago, and they could have the sideburns as long as they didn't go below the ear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even elders. Moved to Houston, they didn't want you having like sideburns past the top of the ear.
Right.
Moved to Georgia, and like we used to call it a soul patch when they had the hair under the lip. Moved to
Mm-hmm.
Georgia,
My dad
no
calls it
one could have
a
any hair.
goatee. Yep.
Yeah, no one could have hair under the lip in Georgia. So I'm just like, it's crazy how in every place it's like you have these different variations of what they consider like what they want the congregation to wear or act or recreation is different in some cities than it was in others. What they like frowned upon, and those are the type of things that really left a bad taste in my mouth.
And were these scriptural rules, or are they more just man-made? They seem to you at the time.
Man-made, yeah, because it's
Okay.
like it's and I would always. I know my father probably got tired of me, but I would always tell him like it's not in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's not in the Bible, and I could tell he kind of understood where I was coming from, but then he would say it's other things that's not directly in the Bible. Like they say, don't smoke a cigarette. You're not going to find that in the Bible. But
Hmm.
a Christian has the reason. He did the whole elder spiel on me, and so it's like I got his viewpoint, but it's still like things to me, things that weren't detrimental to a Christian spirituality. I felt should be left as long as it wasn't too far out. Should be
Hmm.
left to each individual, and so I always had a problem with that. And I think my mouth got me in trouble each city I went to because I would voice that opinion.
So, what age were you when you started to question things?
I would say it started like when I was 18, because when I was in school, I was just kind of like I was just in that mindset all in. I had to be a certain way, act a
Hmm.
certain way. Then I graduated and I get in the workforce and I'm kind of around different people and different ideals and conduct. And so then and they would always say in meetings to like we have to like test our faith and question things. So I didn't think anything was wrong with it, but sometimes I would just have these thoughts. I'm driving to work and I'm like, how do I know that this is the truth? How do I know this is the only true religion? Like things like that. And like, why does this have to be so strict? Why is that guideline so strict? And because you every I will, most of the ones I knew, the young ones who were raised in the truth, at some point in our teen years, we felt like we were missing out on something. And so that's where
Birthdays
I
or
think,
birthdays or
yeah,
sports or something. Yeah.
yeah. So that's when a lot of doubts, when I turned 18, and it only continued the older I got.
Gotcha. So, as you continued in your learning or your development, I mean, what did that come to? What ended up happening as you hit your 20s, or obviously you're a lot older now. So, what happened in between now and then?
I think I was just seeing how like ugly the world could be in my early 20s. Well, no, I would say when I was 19, I think what really started me to really question everything, you brought up strict. You can't really date unless marriage is the end goal.
Supervisors from right.
Yeah. So we moved to Georgia and I met this girl in our congregation and it's just like we liked each other. Like I'm up
Mhm.
there reading the Watchtower one Sunday, and when I'm not reading, I'm staring at her the whole meeting. And we ended up like kind of dating. And what really started me on I think a downward track. She was white, her father was an unbeliever, and we dated for several months, and all of a sudden she just stopped. And I don't know why. I'm like, what did I do? Comes out, I talked to her mom a couple of weeks after we broke up, and she said her father like told her if she didn't stop dating me, something bad would happen to me.
Mhm.
And so then I just like my whole mindset about everything changed. It's like, and I had been through other racial things, bad things in Georgia already. That happened. The movie Malcolm X came out. I turned militant, and it was just a downward spiral. And I just started questioning everything. And like, why am I a witness? Is not even helping anything. Yeah, I was just in a bad place.
So, what all your questioning and where did this all lead you? Like you were getting kind of rebellious. So, did you just continue to go to the Kingdom Hall?
Oh yeah, I was going. Now they have this term now, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I was that most of my life, but physically in, mentally out.
PIMO,
Yep,
PIMO.
I was very PIMO, and so I was like, it's what was expected of me. So I would go. And I had certain privileges around the hall, so I would go and do what I needed to do. At my late 20s was the first time I got appointed as a ministerial servant. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm just going through the motions and giving public talks, but it was like I'm putting out what's up in here, what's been building since 1970, things I know about the truth, but it wasn't in my heart. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that thinking is what eventually like led to my downfall the first time.
So what happened there with that situation? What happened? Why you see your first downfall?
Because I was when I was in my early 30s, because I got appointed in my late 20s. In my early 30s is when I just like a combination of me having all these bad thoughts, me with hanging around bad association, and then I just got in trouble and I had to be reproved that
Mm-hmm.
time. And I was reproved, but I still didn't want to be in it. But I couldn't like just say that because of my parents, in our minds, we grow up basically where we're trying to please everybody else except ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just again going through the motions to do what I needed to do to get my privileges back. And, I just kept on going, but mentally I was out.
That might be a good point. Do you feel like the organization is a cult? Because I've talked to several people. I kind of feel like it's cult-like, but I don't know. Like, how do you feel about that?
I used to, oh my goodness, I used to like really, really get upset and defend it when people said it was a cult, whether it was out in ministry, co-workers, relatives, and I was like, it is not a cult. It is not a cult. So I'm out now, and like in the spring, I'm reading things, and I'm like, my goodness, it was a cult. The more things I read, it's just like all the mind control and them keeping you separate from everybody, no matter if it's family,
Family or the world or whatever it
co-workers.
is.
Yeah, they
Mm.
want you in a box. And something that really stood out to me was like to me, if a person is studying, they always tell you, even in the publications, keep an open mind. You've been taught all these other things and other religions. Keep an open mind. Learn what we're teaching you straight from the Bible. To me, it seems like as soon as you get up out the water, they're telling you to close off everything.
Everything.
You only listen to us, do what we say, and it's like that always left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yep. We're the governing body and gotta listen to
Hmm.
us. Yep.
Yeah, even at the baptism questions, like it's one of them. Now, I'll tell you this: when I was 16, like I was all in. I was 16 when I got baptized, but part of the questions that bothered me was like they don't want you pledging allegiance to the flag, right? But then it's this paragraph where you're saying you recognize the governing body. It's the visible representation of God on earth. You're going to listen to them, even if it seems strange. You're going to do what they direct you to do. That part, even when I was 16, I was like, okay, I feel some type of way about this. Like, I don't really know about this, but I mean, you just do it.
It seems like you're kind of questioning things throughout your whole life, though. For the majority of your experience in the time in the religion, you're kind of questioning things are kind of rebellious. Is that an accurate kind of description?
I would, yeah, I would say more rebellious the older I got.
Okay.
Um, but I was definitely questioning, and like that's just how I am. My parents used to always have me laughing, telling me because even when I was young, they would buy me the toys I would beg for. In a day or two, I have a screwdriver, opening up, trying to see how it worked. My father
Mm.
got me a radio. He he came home from work one day just mad because I had the whole thing open and like spread out on the table. I wanted
Yep.
to see how it worked. That's just how I am. Like if someone tell me to do something, like I need to know why. What's your line of reasoning? I'm just not gonna. When somebody tell me to do something, I'm just not really gonna do it until I know why, and that's just how I am.
So at what point have you left the organization now? Are you out of the organization now, or what's your status
Oh yeah,
now?
yeah. I just walked away in late December because I went through a lot of personal things the last half of 2024.
Mhm.
So okay, they wanted. I was a ministerial servant when I left, and like I had a lot of responsibilities, and I was telling them like, can some of the things like can we delegate it to someone else? Because I'm like mentally, I'm just really struggling. Because I went through a lot. I had a lot of loss at the end of 2024, the later half of it, and so at first they were like, "We'll see if we can get you help." 2 weeks go by, no, because I was over the AV department and I was over the attendant department, and so I told them again, like more serious. I need time. Like seriously, I'm not doing well. And then I like removed myself from giving cards. Told them I wanted to step down the first time, which was like in the end of October, early November. And they told me like usually when someone goes through a lot of stress like you have, we urge them to kind of wait because we don't want you to make a rash decision.
Mhm.
I'm like, whatever, okay. And in my mind, I'm just, like, I already know I don't want to do it anymore. So I let time go by, and I told them I'm stepping down. I'm done. I'm finished. I was very like stern with them. And so at the end of December, uh, I stepped down, and then I just stopped going. I went to one meeting like early January just to be sure, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. And I haven't been since that one meeting in January. And so I didn't like I walked away. I moved, changed my address, I changed my phone number, changed my email address, and at first I thought about like should I write a letter to disassociate myself?
Mhm.
But then like the rebel in me is like no, because like that just means they have control over me still. Like
Exactly.
I'm an adult, it's my decision. I choose not to go. Like I don't need to write a letter. So yeah, I just walked away.
So you never got disfellowshipped or anything like that. You just kind of
Not this time, but
gotcha.
I've been disfellowship twice before.
Right.
But yeah, not this time. I just walked away.
What is it like being shunned? Because I've never been disfellowshipped, but I don't associate anymore either. What's it like being shunned? I'm just curious to know. What's that
It's
experience like being disfellowshipped? Why don't you explain that for the audience?
okay. So, like before, I mentioned I was reproved. Okay, so when you're reproved, that means you do something they call it a gross sin, like fornication, adultery, something like that, smoking. You go talk to the elders, and there's three of them. They call it a judicial committee. If you show a repentant attitude, you get reproved, and they take privileges away from you. You gradually gain them back. I went in there like the first time, and it was like 2004, and I had been smoking and moved up to Chicago to be closer to my son and engage in other activities. So I got this fellowship. When you're this fellowship, it's like they cut you off from the congregation. You're allowed to go to meetings, but no one can talk to you. It's pretty much, I told people it's like you have in the Bible when they said a person with leprosy. Like you walk in and people are like getting out of your way and they don't want to make eye contact. They can't associate with you anymore, even your relatives. So my family like didn't talk to them. The only thing is like my mom kept our son, so I would have naturally I have to talk to her, but only for that, like picking him up, dropping him off, discussing things about him. But that's it. Like I wasn't at family dinners, anything like that. And it's after time, if a person chooses to go back, you have to write a letter. Your committee looks at it. They invite you in to talk to you and see if you're ready for them to reinstate you back into the congregation. And even I found even when you come back, you're still treated weird. And
Mhm.
I've told people that in my experience, it's like they treat people better who just come to the Kingdom Hall for the first time,
Like
and
newcomers.
yeah, than they do someone who's been disfellowshipped. And yeah, it's rough. The only thing with me, I'm different. So it's like when I was disfellowshipped the second time, that's when I moved up to where I live now in Washington. And so I'm going to meetings with my family, but I'm the type of person I don't really care if I'm talking to people. So I would go out to the car and just listen to jazz while my family was in the Kingdom Hall. And so when I got reinstated that time, I looked at my wife like right before the last song, and I'm like, damn, now I got to talk to people again. Like it don't bother me,
Right.
but for most people, that's like torture for them not to be able to talk to someone.
So
And
is
like
your wife
I
in
get
your
it.
organization too? Is your wife a witness?
She was. My whole family left. My wife and our two kids, they left too.
Okay. When you did,
Hmm.
when you left, they left basically.
Yeah, around the same time.
Okay.
And then my daughter and son a little bit after I did. I think they were relieved when they found out like my stance and how I felt
Hmm.
because they were, and I could kind of tell, but they were basically doing it um, because of me and like I'm a ministerial servant, and so I've always told the whole family like I want them to be true to who they are because I grew up all those years not being true to myself, and I didn't want that on them. So yeah, it's like the four of us are happier now.
Well, congratulations on that. That's a good. So I know we were talking a little bit before we started recording on the final straw that kind of broke the camel's back in your case. I want to talk a little bit about that in the Australian report that came out and all the allegations that have been swirling around the witnesses.
Yeah, it's on top of all the doubts and then me not wanting to do it anymore. I'm like learning more and more about these cases, and that's the first one that you mentioned, Australia. You know, I kept hearing about it, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And so I'll start by saying when you're in, and I call it a cult. Like that's just how I feel. When
Mhm.
you're in the cult, you don't want to hear anything bad about it. You don't want to accept anything bad about it. They teach you that people who leave are under demonic influence. They're not right mentally. Don't listen to them. Don't read anything. Don't engage with them. So that's the mindset you have. I'm hearing all these things, and plus I like know about things personally myself, and I heard about the cases in Australia, and so I'm like looking more into it, and then I find all these cases in Pennsylvania, and these are like elders being convicted, and so it's real cases. I know it's not hearsay. I know it's not rumors. It's like public information in court systems, and it's you have these predators in the organization doing horrible things to people, especially kids. And because of different loopholes, they're being protected within congregations, and the elders aren't reporting it to the authorities that they need to be reporting these incidents to. And like it it made me livid. And the more like things I'm reading, like I'm just like nauseated literally because this organization that I devoted like most of my life to, I'm
Definitely.
finding out was like just a scam. And yeah. And so now that's what I do, just daily trying to expose it and bring awareness to everybody.
And we're talking about
Oh yeah. And what they do, so it's this one verse, and Jesus, he's teaching and he's saying if he's talking about if you have a dispute with someone, uh, that you try to work it out, or if it's an accusation, then this is where their loophole comes in. If you're accusing someone of something, it has to come from the mouth of two or three witnesses. So it's not a he said, she said thing. And they use that loophole for these CSA cases saying, and it like, oh, this is what like infuriates me. They ask like these young ones who has been victims, like, is there another witness? Like, it's not going to be another witness.
Never,
Usually, it's just
never.
yeah, it's just the two people, and so they're either saying there's nothing we can do, or some cases they're telling them they're lying, like they don't believe them, and I just think that's horrible. And I've like it's ones young ones where it's happening now, but then I'm talking to these adults who it's happened to when they were children, and I see how it's just mess with their minds, and like I feel bad. Like no one should have to go through that, but for you to be in a congregation and that's supposed to be your safe place, and some of these elders in congregations are saying to the victims, "Yeah, we know that this person has done this and that in the past," but they're still in the congregation, mingling around. When one of the elders, one of the things they always preach in one of their duties is to keep congregations clean.
Right.
And that, like, yeah. And like I just posted a video on TikTok earlier this week where, like I told you, I was over the attendant department in the congregation. So they had to tell me, the elders had to tell me certain things, especially things to look out for, who to watch. And there was this one guy, I'm not even gonna call him a gentleman because it wasn't that. And he's been convicted in the past. So of for that. And so we had to keep a special watch on him. If he went to the restroom, we had to go babysit his butt. And then it got to the point where they pulled me aside again and they were like, if you see him holding his cell phone up, we need to approach him and make sure he's not recording because we've seen him recording members of the congregation.
Wow.
That's when I lose it. And I'm like, why can't we just like tell him he can't come in here anymore? They're telling me like, no, we can't do anyone like that. It's a public meeting, a public building. We have to keep him but we just have to watch him. And I'm still mad. And then a few months later, we have this like from the branch, they revamp the attendance, how we roll with the Kingdom Halls. So we have this huge attendant meeting, both congregations that meet in our building. One of the things that they're instructing us is if there's an unruly person or someone comes in and they're being verbally disruptive, or they have weapons, or they're doing harm to someone, like fighting with someone in the congregation, we call 911. When the police get there, we tell them that they can't be there anymore. Their implied invitation has been revoked. Those are the words we are to use.
Right.
Now you know me, like I'm questioning everything. We say amen after that attendance meeting. I go up to one of my elders and I'm like, okay, we can 86 somebody if the unruly this, and this, like we just learned. But we still can't get rid of this guy. And they, yeah, same answer. Like, no. And I like, to me, it's just like, I have children, other people have children in the congregation, and I feel we're putting them at risk when the elders know, especially if someone's been convicted of it in the past.
Hmm.
And they're still mingling with the congregation, still around kids, and it like is just not right. And then to find out they have a database at headquarters that the elders send to them of every person in each congregation who they know stuff about like that. They send it and they keep a database in New York, and it's like they know, but they won't give it up to the authorities.
So does it seem like more people are leaving the organization now? Or because like if you look at YouTube, there's a lot of XJW content. I know that the organization doesn't put out like personal blogs or anything like that. So how is this affecting other witnesses or other people who are still involved in the religion?
So, like these cases,
Just in general, yeah, just like the everything that's going on, right? Like the content, the XJW content, the cases, all this information that's now coming out.
they, man. So the witnesses, like I told you, they're not supposed to engage with us, the ones who leave.
Right.
They call us apostate or whatever. And so everything that I post where it's me doing like I am with you, just talking about past experiences and why I feel a certain type of way. Witnesses come on there unhinged, commenting like I'm lying. I had a problem with people. That's why I'm not a witness. And I'm like, it's nothing like I didn't get into it with someone or anything like that. It's much deeper. If you go look at my videos, you'll see. And I invite each of them to pop up on a post where I'm posting facts and I'm showing documentation. They don't come on those posts. So it's
Mm.
like, and I try to be nice as long as they're respectful. I try to be nice and I tell each and every one of them, like, look, I was you. I defended this organization. And I said, the things I see, and that's like, just go look at all my videos, start at the bottom, and you'll see why I left and work your way up. I tell each and every one of them that. And it's like, I think a lot are starting to wake up. A lot are starting to question, like, and me and the other creators are like, why would they even be on our page if they don't have any doubts?
Yeah.
Like they're looking at things, and it's someone sent me an interesting direct message earlier this week, and it had all kind of statistics about people getting baptized each year throughout the years. But at the end was an interesting point of like the estimates of all of us who either got disfellowship, disassociated ourselves, or just walked away. And it's like more of us. It was closer to 14 million, and they float around like 8 million, I think, active witnesses. And it's right now, and I definitely believe it. It's more of us that have walked away or left or been shunned than there are active witnesses. And I think more and more people are starting to wake up. Especially like another big thing that always bothered me was the like them always saying the end and we're in the last days and it's right around the corner. Like that always bothered me too. Um, I believe in the Bible, but I just don't believe it's up to man to interpret everything in it. And so that always bothered me.
Right. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Where are you now with your faith? Are you a Christian? What do you consider yourself?
Hmm. I would I would say I believe in a higher power.
Mhm.
I don't practice anything.
Okay.
Like I don't even know if I can call myself Christian because I don't right now at this point in my life I'm not like looking into anything. I'm not actively going anywhere. Um, yeah, I'm just for once I feel in my life I can just live and do what I want, and I
Mhm.
think that's what I've just been doing. You know, I like I said, I believe in certain things in the Bible how it can make you a better person. So I just try to like be the best I can be, but yeah, I'm not practicing anything right now. I'm just taking a breather.
Yeah. No, I understand completely. After living a life of in the religion, like now you can sort of breathe and sort of smell the flowers or
Oh
figure out
yeah,
things for yourself.
yep, and that's what I'm doing.
Mhm. So, has your family shunned you then, or you sort of considered like does your family associate with you then, or other
Well,
than your immediate family?
they're in another state,
Okay.
uh, and my parents both are in their early 80s, and I haven't told them anything, and this is what I've told. Like I was talking to my daughter, and I would prefer them because of their age. They came into the truth in the mid 60s, um, and they wholeheartedly believed it. I would rather them finish out their days just with the hopes that they have,
Mhm.
and I don't want to do anything to that, or like if they ask me, I would tell them, but I'm not. I haven't just called them like, "Hey, I don't go anymore." Like I haven't done that, but I just and I'm like they may have already, my brother, he may have already seen something. I
Mhm.
think I felt more comfortable because the one who kept up after me, and she like listened in on Zoom to every talk I had, every part was my sister, but she passed away in September from cancer, and so I think weirdly, I felt a little bit more comfortable making this decision because, man, she would be on me if she knew like how I'm living now.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that was the only one I was really, really worried about. And so, yeah, it's like I haven't really talked to the rest of my family at all.
Hey there, Mitch. We're almost out of time. I thank you so much for sharing this information. Why don't you share something about your YouTube channel to let folks know how they can follow you or learn more about what you talk about there?
Yeah, if you look me up on TikTok or Instagram and you um, just look up ExJDub, so ExJDub, and that's my username across the board: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And I would urge you to, if you really want to see from the beginning why I started this path, TikTok and Instagram. Those are the two where I post the most videos, and I have 5 introductory videos talking about why I made the choice, but then I make small videos just telling about different experiences I had, and uh, it's like people are really really liking it because they're getting an inside look at the religion from a different viewpoint. Like I devoted my life almost 50 years to it, so I've seen a lot, heard a lot, and I think that's what people like, that I'm just real.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing your story with us, and thanks so much, Mitch. I would like to ask real quickly, do you have any advice for folks who are going through a awakening within the organization or who are starting to question things within the Jehovah's Witness faith?
I would say that I know what you're thinking, that you feel this is the true religion and you don't want to think badly about it. I would just say have an open mind and look at the facts. Most of us who are creating content, we're not talking from emotion. We're showing you facts. We're showing you documentation. Like, look at that and then ask yourself the real questions. Is this the true religion? Should they be behaving like this? Should they be protecting predators like this? Like, you have to ask yourself those real questions. And I tell everybody, leave emotion out of it and just look at the facts. It is numerous court cases around the world, in the United States, of convictions and real prison time of brothers that used to be elders, ministerial servants, and active witnesses. Like, don't take our word for it. Look it up yourself. And I would say have an open mind and really ask yourself, is this an organization I want to align my life with? And just like start there. I know it's hard. Like, it, even me leaving in December, because I've been in it for 50 years, it was hard. So I know it's hard, but I also know it can be done.
Mitch Wright, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with Seeds of Awakening. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.